and a very warm welcome to part 4 of my betting mini series, Betting for a Living. My name's Lee Keys of systembet.co.uk, and today's episode I will be discussing one of the variables that has made me a substantial amount of money over the years, and how important it is. Many punters don't do this kind of research because it's not part of the accepted sort of curriculum within racing, where it's all about speed figures and handicap marks and form and trainer form, and we like this jockey, we like that jockey, we like this. It's about spotting pigs. So not the farmyard animals, but certainly the ones that refuse to win races. Now, you might say, well, how can you spot a horse that doesn't want to win a race? Well, there are several techniques for doing so, and I'd like to go through several of those techniques in this chapter. Now, the thing about pigs is, these are, if you think a horse, it's a herd animal. These horses are bred to race. Yes, they're thoroughbreds. They're bred to race faster than, say, other breeds of horses, but they're still herd animals. And a lot of the horses, say, you've seen them on at Newmarket, Lambourne, they'll work on the gallops, and they'll work with other horses. So they're brought up to be herd animals. It's in the genes. It's in the thinking. They like to be. Not all horses, but many of the horses like to be around other horses. So you have to bear in mind sometimes when you might be looking to back a horse that hasn't been sort of at the races. It's had 3 runs for a mark, and you're thinking, today's the day. This horse has got plenty in hand. I've had the word off the connections, and all of a sudden the horse comes there going well, the second last, and then patently refuses to go past the one in front. And by that, it means the horse has either hung into the other one, which you can see by the path they're taking. If you look on any running, you can see whether the horse is running a straight line. And if you see the horse edge into the other one, that's basically saying, I'm not sure about this. Do I really want to go past you? Ooh, it's the scary unknown out in front on my own. There's reasons why a lot of big yards use lead horses. Some horses are very, very good out in front, being lead horses for other quality animals in home work. Some horses like to lead. Look at Mark Johnston. Has lots of front runners. That's the way they're taught to race. And so all horses aren't the same, but in general, they are herd animals, and that's what you're going to get. So sometimes when you're asking a horse then to go to the front for the first time, when you hear the phrases, oh, he's green or she's green, doesn't know what the game's about, that's basically saying that they're not sure what to do when they actually get there. They don't know whether to run faster and so sometimes it can be greenness. Now, there's several techniques I use for spotting pigs, and it served me well, certainly in the Betfair era, as well as pre-Betfair. It was always easy for me anyway to spot a horse that didn't quite want to win or kind of lost concentration on the running, etc. When it was important, you needed your horse to win. That's the most important part of the race, the final furlong or the jump at the last. Now, what I'm going to do later in this episode is I'm going to go through real life examples of horses that are ungenuine, so you can watch along with me. So I'm going to actually play the replay of the Betfair video, of the Racing Post video. So if you have got a Racing Post subscription, it will make the final part of this podcast more interesting, because we can talk about what I'm seeing and how I'm seeing it and why. And that will also maybe give you some experience in what maybe not to look for. So I also think that's quite important. I mean, the importance of spotting pigs is absolutely vital for me. I'd say it's one of the most important cogs of making my game pay, because remember what I said in the first episode, punters refuse to validate data. They can't be bothered. They can't be bothered to go and watch 7 or 8 runs back of the horse and build a characteristic profile of it. They're lazy. They won't do any work. By doing the work, You get the edge. You've got more knowledge than they have, and I mean, you know, and away you go. So, one of my first techniques for spotting pigs is I use Betfair price history. Now, you can find Betfair price history in the time form results section. They usually tell you what price the horse has gone in running on the time form results site. I use a software called Professional, which you can subscribe to. Like I say, it is expensive, but if you want the data, this is the sort of stuff I do. And they've got the entire price history on Betfair since I believe 2008 or 2009. So I've literally got 12 years of Betfair data, which tell me how short a horse went in running. And that's vital, because if you think about it, if a horse runs 10 times, goes odds on in running on those 10 occasions, and doesn't win at least 5 races, then there's a sign that it could be a little bit iffy. I mean, think about it. If you go less than even money in running, assuming that you're not odds on in the first place, it basically means you should be winning. If you go odds on, it means you should be winning at least 5 races. If you go 5-1 on in 5 races, you should be winning 5 out of 6 races. So if you win no races, that's bad. That's real bad, because the market's saying you're a short price to win this. You should be going close to winning. So that's a rule of thumb I have. So if a horse says ran 10 times and only won 2 races, that's gone odds on in all those 10 occasions in running, that means Betfair's in running punters are seeing something in running that makes that horse go odds on, i.e. it's looking likely to win, but doesn't. On 8 occasions, it's failed to get its head in front. So these are the types of horse that can unlock races. Now, I see this horse many a time, this type of horse, priced up as favourites, second favourites. Because why? Because they've ran well, they've got good speed figures, many of the time, all they are doing is running with the herd. So that's why horses, i.e. consistency levels, you'll get certain horses able to run to 75 one race, then for some reason finish second again and only run to 65. Because it's running with the herd. It will happily run to 75. If the one in front can run to 75, it'll go faster with it. That's the whole point. A typical example of this was Sermon's Mount, a horse from back in the day, and this is not an example that I'm going to go through with you on video. I'll get to that moment shortly. But Sermon's Mount was a favourite of mine. He ran from sort of 2009 to 2012, and he traded odds on in running 15 times, and won just twice. He went sub 1.1 on 4 occasions, and was beaten at the very minimum 101 twice. So that's 100 to 1 winner. In his if you lay £1,000 at 101 in running, you've made £1,000 for risking £10. He's done that twice. He did it twice. And he was the type of horse that just literally just didn't want to do it. And if he got to the front, he'd mess about. And that's the thing. These are the horses that we need to be priced up at 3-1 favourite in a race. Because I'm not saying then we can take 25%, which is what 3-1 represents, out of the market. But what we can do is say that can't be a 3-1 shot. Because even when it's gone odds on in running, it's only converted twice out of 15 occasions. So that's the kind of data that we build up over time. The key is not to give horses too many chances. It's easy to back a horse and think, oh, that was unlucky, it went down by a neck, it looked to be trying, but was it trying? You've always got to doubt them. If they look the winner, and you're thinking this looks the winner, and they don't go past, you can't be just making it, it ran well. No. The game is, it's data, it's validation. It's saying that horse looked like winning, but it didn't. So that's one black mark. And I always say 2 black marks. So that's one black mark where I'm a little bit concerned. If it does it again, then that's it. That's finished. There's no more chances. I'm not even ever going there ever again. That's it. It's on the list. It's on the list to avoid and to oppose. And this is what opens races for me. This is what basically gives me value on other runners that maybe have lesser form ratings, maybe has lesser a good profile, but that's what gets me the prices, because I know that horse that everyone else is backing because he's got the best speed figures ain't no good. Anyway, this is the part now I'm going to go on a little bit more about real life examples. So if you have got your Betfair, your Racing Post site or any other video sites open, I think you can use Racing TV archives. You can use At the Races. So there are different free sites as well, maybe not just a Racing Post subscription where you can enjoy and view this race with me. So the first one I'm going to give an example to is a horse called Rio Quinta. Now again, you're gonna say to me, well, this horse, if you look at its history, that's RIO-QUINTO, so it's RIO space QUINTO. Trained by Ollie Murphy, ran the other day, 29th of March, 21. Third to a horse called Flemcara. And if you get the closing stages up, you can see now, as we approach the close, I'm just going to wind it on a little bit, and I'll get to a point just coming into the straight now. The horse is sort of under pressure. It's got a chance still. It's in third place, and you can see now. Oh, hang on, this got a serious start now. So as we come to the last, and I'll just freeze it as we come to the last, you can see it's starting to make a challenge on the eventual winner, Flemcara, and it's coming through to win the race, if you like. It's in fact, Betfair made it at that point 1.47, I think, or to that in running. So it was favourite. It was favourite to win in running. So we watched the last. Didn't get the last right, which some will say, well, that's why it didn't win, and that's what the excuses and the form pundits might say, or bit of a. But watch the finish. Watch this. Look at that. Just look at that. Now, how's that finished third from the last? That's a horse simply either that's got maybe a physical problem as well, but that horse, it's finished third there. Let's say it comes out in 3 weeks' time. People look at the form, so that's not too bad. Third, got beat 6 lengths, made a bit of a mistake at the last, and they'll say, yeah, that's fair enough. No, it's not fair enough. That's the one that I'm taking on in its next race. Just primarily on what I've seen there. It's either got a wind problem because he's wind packed in on the running, but more to me, I think that was a horse just packing in. He's also got a history of doing that. Even though he's got 2 wins, he's got a history of just down in tools. So Rio Quinta, that is sort of a prime example there. If you've got your video book still open, a second one I'm going to preview now is a horse called Great Khan. So that's GREAT space KHAN. Great Khan. If you click upon his profile, he's had numerous chances in his life. In fact, his career record was 34 runs, 1 win, 10 seconds, and 8 thirds. Now, I know some of you might say, well, it's all right telling me this now. Well, that's the point, though. This is the skill. You're supposed to spot this a long time before the form book ends up telling you it's a pig. That's the skill. And this is another example here of a horse that travelled oh so well, but had a history of doing absolutely nothing on the running. And he got one particular trait that I want to highlight here. This is a horse that often made a terrible mistake at the final fence or final hurdle. He had this nasty habit of getting the last hurdle or fence wrong. And I have a theory behind this, because I believe if you look to the 15th of December 2016, that's the run. In fact, no, is that right? Let's get the date right. I don't want to get the... No, it's not the right date. 20th of March 2021 is the last run when he ran against Getterday. Now, everyone's going to say he's unlucky. Every single person will say, let's get the closing stages up. So I'm going to fast forward it, because you just fast forward it to the last, just before the last. So coming to the last, Great Khan has a 2-length advantage over his rivals. Bearing in mind that at this point of his career, he's 1 from 34. Right? He's got a history of belting the last and then just saying no. And here again, so 2 lengths clear. The race is absolutely in the bag. The other two not really going anywhere. And coming to the last now, bang. He's done that on so many occasions. And then, but that's it, you see. The excusers will say that, it's made a bad mistake at the last. It would have won but for that. No. Check its history. The number of times that horse has done that in its career. Leopardstown, 9th of March 2018. Did exactly the same. Led coming to the last, travelling well. Blasted through the last flight. Didn't even finish second. Finished third. And this is what I'm saying, that you cannot make excuses for horses like this. Horses that make mistakes at the last two fences, over jumps in particular, are for me horses that aren't that bothered about winning. They're losing concentration. How can you jump well all race and then get the last two wrong or the last wrong? Well, you can't, because you're basically either losing concentration or you're not wanting to go about your business. Another prime example for you to finish off the examples of horses that don't want to win, let's say, is call Vinnie. So that's CALL space Vinnie, VINNIE. He's a horse that last ran in 2017, and his career record was 17 runs, no wins, 5 seconds, 2/3. And this horse had a bit of a history for trading odds on in running. On 7 occasions, he went odds on in running, sometimes big odds on in running, never got his head in front. Never on one occasion. Yet another prime example, and we will go back to the 15th of December 2016 on your replays at Tremor. So 15th of December 2016, he was third behind the Living Beauty. And again, what I was highlighting about last fence errors and mistakes, and people will put it down to bad luck. Let's fast forward the finish for Cole Vinnie here. So he's coming through, he's travelling the best, and you're thinking, well, you know, this is just like, this is brilliant. You know, lovely jump at the second last, still travelling absolutely wonderful. And basically, here we come now to the final fence. This is it. Jumps really awkward, makes an awkward shape. You know, didn't hit it, but made an absolute awkward shape. And then look at that. What's he found on the running? That's like the Flying Dutchman in the Pirates of the Caribbean. It's got more dead objects, seashells. It's dead inside, absolutely dead inside. And that horse has just repeatedly done that. Travelled well, then just got to the last, either fluffed it, made a mistake, made a poor shape, if you like, and got it wrong. And this is what people will, because they're finishing close up, because they're finishing second and third, the betting public like that sort of horse because, well, it's a good speed figure, it's good form, the winners come out and won next time, blah, 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 blah. That's not the angles we're looking for. This is a major angle, and it can unlock markets for you. Other things to be wary of, which I will just finish off the show with, high head carriages. This can be a sign of reluctance, because you think about it, a horse should race with its head down, in a straightforward motion, with its head extended and trying. That's a real sign of a good horse that tries. Horses that have high head carriages, now that can be a sign of refusal. It can be, sometimes that's not all the time. Sometimes it can be something that, it could be something to do with the wind. The wind needs tightening, and sometimes because it's like they can't breathe, so they've got the neck extended upwards so they can get more air into the lungs. Sometimes it's a family trait. R.E. the Super Sire Sadler's Wells did that. He got a very, very awful head carriage, to be fair, and that's from the Northern Dancer line, obviously, and produced Galileo's Super Sire, basically. So there are exceptions to the rule. Of course there are. I'm not saying there aren't. Look for awkward head carriages to one side. That can be a sign of refusal, because the horse then is turning its head to one side, which could be a sign of hanging. It could be a sign of the horse just isn't quite happy. Again, why would you not have your head straight forward? Look, head down, trying to the line. Sometimes it can be, though, that the horse is trying to see the forwards direction better. There has been multiple winners that have won plenty of races throughout the career with awkward head carriages that turn the head to one side to get a better peripheral view of what's in front of them. That can be traits. That's one to sort of like look for as well. This is one discipline that can be learned. It will give you a big edge. Things like horses not running in straight lines. You know yourself, if you're out for a run or a jog or whatever, why would you run left and right? Unless you're avoiding people. Now, if you've got nothing in front of you, why are you edging to your left or edging to your right? It's either a physical problem where if you imagine a horse has got four wheels basically as feet, that if it's not balanced, then obviously and there's a physical problem, then you can drift to your left or right due to physical problems. And you can see this on the all weather when they show the head on, and you can see them either the pattern in the artificial surface, either left or right, especially at Southwell. But it's a telltale sign of ungenuineness if you are hanging left into others or hanging right. You're not running straight forward, so you're losing ground. It's a sign of a horse sometimes wanting to get out of it. Sometimes it can be maybe that they want the paddock gate. They can see the paddock gate. They know it's home time, that's food time, etc. And horses think, that's it, that's enough for me. So they edge the way to the exit because they think that's it. But in general, it's not a good sign if your horse moves to the left or goes to the right. You need to be very wary about supporting horses that have this trait. As I said, this is one discipline that if you learn this and you develop it to your edge, you will beat the betting public on this. The betting public tend to be one-dimensional, speed figures, your basic stuff that everyone... I'm not saying they're not important. Of course they are. But this is one skill you can learn without not knowing anything about time, form, distance, ground, anything. This is one discipline that you can learn by just watching horses' characteristics. And if it's something that doesn't sit right with your gut feeling, it just doesn't feel right, though, you think, well, is this horse not putting it all in? Then usually you'll be right. You will be right. If you feel that the horse is just not getting on with it, never give them excuses. It literally is, that's it, off the list, and you have to look elsewhere for a bet. But as I say, it does open races. So that's the first variable. I hope you've enjoyed this chapter. That's the first and most important variable I use in betting for a living. I'll be back next week with part 5, where I haven't decided what a variable I'm going to pick next. There's so many to go through. So I'm going to think, well, I might pick something that I feel is something else you could develop from that before we get into the nitty-gritty of time and form, because these are things that are more tricky to teach people. It's not easy. So look out for part 5 next week. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and it'll be online around Wednesday next week. So hope you've enjoyed. Bye for now.